Alright guys, well we got the stove in the house easy enough with that ramp and this dolly here was really helpful. But now you're probably wondering how we're going to get it off the dolly. Well, we come up with a solution here. Did you ever have an engine crane in your living room before? Well, I do. We figure we'll just use this, bring it right over it. We'll strap it up again, take it off the dolly, bring it down, unbolt it from the pallet. I'll put the straps underneath the stove itself, lift the stove up, put the legs on it, and then put the stove back on the ground there. And we can actually position it where we want it over here. So we're going to do that next. Okay, pull it up. Pull it up. Let it up. Put it right on top. There's one bolt underneath there that's holding it onto the crate. So that's what I'm going to take off now. And that's it. We think that they would use two, but that's all I had is this plate here and this bolt hooked up. I'm assuming it's bolted to where the legs are going to go. But yeah, nice piece of plate though, 1/4 inch. Alright. I'm going to have to spray paint this again because it got damaged, not damaged, but it rubbed all the paint off. So that's another little project I got to do. And you can see right here, it was rubbing in the box during shipping and it just rubbed the paint off. That's not a huge big deal. I'll get some of that flat black that they use and spray paint it. And once you get a good fire going and heat it up, you'll bake that paint right on there. It'll be alright. Alright, I was able to get the legs on, but they're not tight because the straps are in the way. But we're going to get it into position over here and then slowly try and let this thing down. And then once it's in position, I can tighten the legs up the rest of the way. I want you to pull this thing all over. We did it. I just gotta do some fine tuning. 620 pounds. All right, I have the stove positioned where I want it. Center anyways, between these two doors here. To the back wall, the minimum dimension, or distance, I'm sorry, from the wall is 14 inches if you're using a double wall chimney pipe here. Stove pipe, I should say. So that's what I ordered, a double wall. So I have it at 14 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do now is up there, I have to figure out where to put the hole. This is the ceiling support box here. This is going to go up in the ceiling. And you can see that's insulated too. But this is going to go up in the ceiling, and then I got to frame it and put 2x4s where there isn't any, and then screw it in. All right, what we need to do now is find out where the center of that opening for the stovepipe, where that ends up on the ceiling up there. Okay, it's gonna, for me, it's gonna be a straight shot up. Now, you don't need nothing fancy, you don't need lasers or anything like that. What you need is a string and some weight. Okay, I just use this little eye bolt here that I had. Okay, so we're gonna hang this from the ceiling and directly over the opening for the stovepipe, and that'll tell me exactly where to, you know, I'll mark it up there, and it'll tell me exactly where to start opening up the hole up there in the ceiling. Okay, now I'm up on the ladder on the ceiling, and you see the string is hanging, and it's directly over the center of the opening for the stovepipe hole. And I'm up on the ceiling here, and I made just a little mark right there. You can see it, that little black spot there. So that's where that goes. That's where I'm going to start anyway. All right, now what I want to do is put this box up there, and I'm going to get a pencil and just mark the opening where it's going to be here. Now this might not be exactly where it's going to go, but it's good, you know, at least it'll give me a place to start. But remember, I marked it right here. So I'm going to put that center in the center of this here. And that's pretty good. And right about there. All right, now what you want to do is get your favorite hammer and start opening this up here. All right, before I go in there with a Sawzall and start cutting away here, I want to make sure there's no wires back there, because I know that I have a light right over here, obviously. So I'm going to cut this with my knife, put my hand up in there, feel around where I'm going to be cutting, and make sure there's no wires. There's a lot of blown insulation up here. Okay. Okay. I don't feel no wires here. All right, I got the hole cut out, and it worked out pretty good. On this side here, I got the, let me see if I can zoom in for you. Here I got the stud right there. And on this side, I got the stud right there. The only problem is that directly where my stovepipe's gonna go, I got a 2x4 right there on the roof. So I have to cut that and then later on support it above it and below it with some other 2x4s, but it's not a really big deal. But that's what happens, I guess. But I have blown insulation, so it blew all over the place. I collected as much as I could in that box when I started opening the hole up, but it's inevitable. It just gets all over the place. And then I was using a Sawzall. Maybe that's not such a great idea because of the internal cooling. The fan in the Sawzall just blows the dust everywhere from your drywall. If you do use maybe a handsaw, a small handsaw, that would work good. All right, the next thing I have to do is frame this in. So I'm going to put a 2x4 from here to here, and the same thing on the other side, from here to this side, so I can frame that all in. All right, I have my 2x4s cut for the framing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill and countersink for some, I think these are 3-inch deck screws here, and I'm going to put them in through here. But what I want to do is I want to countersink and drill so this doesn't split, and then it'll clear once I countersink for the head to go into the wood. It'll clear that support box. I won't have to worry about the heads hitting. And just a little bit, just to get the head in there. So the heads on these are 3/8, and the rest of it here is about 3/16. So that's the drill sizes I'm using. I want to make sure I come out right in the middle. Yeah, just made it. Yep, good enough. Alright, now we're going to start framing this in. I got my 2x4s cut. Let me push some of this insulation out of the way. I got this 2x4 right at the bottom of these supports here, these joists. Now I gotta make sure I'm square. Get yourself one of these or something. Probably needs to go back a little bit. A little bit. Good. It's nice and square. And it looks like it's right on the edge of the drywall where I cut. On this side I have to measure across 14.5 inches in order for the support box to fit into. Had a senior moment there for a second. All right, I got my other piece on this side, the other part of the framing. And instead of measuring it across, what I did is I got a piece of 2x4, exactly the width of the support box that's going in here, so that's 14.5 inches. I know this one's square to the joists here. So I'm gonna put this in there so I know that this piece is gonna be good. So I get the right distance is what I should say. Do the same thing to this side here. And this side looks pretty good, honestly. Yeah, actually it's really good. Yeah. All right, now I know I'm 14.5 inches across. Make sure I'm square still. And check this side for the heck of it. It's not too bad. All right, now I can start screwing them in. Yeah, that ain't going nowhere. Just want to make sure before I start tightening them all down that it stays nice. Okay. That ain't going nowhere. All right, I got this side to do. That's good. Okay, now we're framed in. I got my piece here that's the same size as that support box. Put it in there. It's nice. That ain't going nowhere. Next, I gotta put a hole in my roof. Okay, I'm about ready to cut the hole in my roof here. You can see there's a truss going right across, right in the way of my chimney pipe where it's gonna go. But thankfully that it's supported on this end here and on the opposite end here, and I'll show you in a second. If you see right there, there's a board supporting it there. And then on this side, as you can see right there, there's a board supporting it there also, the truss. So I'm good. Okay, you can see what I essentially did here. I put a screw up there, I tied a string to it, and I hung the string down right over the opening of where the stovepipe's going. So I'm nice and central, and I know I'm good to go. Once I get up on the roof, I find that screw, put the flashing up around it, center it, mark it, and then cut the hole. What I did is I found my nail from inside, right there. Now what you want to do is get your flashing, make sure you have it the right way, of course, and you want to center that screw right in that opening. Alright, and then once you get that centered, you're going to get a marker, a Sharpie, or a pencil or something, and mark all the inside. Alright, we're going to do that next. Alright, now get yourself a marker. I'm going to try a Sharpie, see how that works. Just a Sharpie like that. Get it nice and centered. And make sure you're straight this way too. Of course, watch the bees. And then mark it. Sharpie's working pretty good, but can't imagine it's very good for it. Yeah, messed it up. Anyways, there's my line. Put that aside. Okay, the problem I have now, I know I have a truss right here. So I'm going to cut around and then along the truss, get the other side. I'm going to cut the truss after I remove the roof. Now get yourself a drill, or like a spade drill or something, and then go along the edge there, make a hole so I can put my Sawzall in there, and then go around with my Sawzall. Get over here.
Okay, there's my truss there. I'm gonna get just on the other side of it. Well, I hate to cut that sucker, but I have to. There is a support there and there, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay. Here. All right. I cut through it and it's still good. I'm gonna go for this side. You know what? I gotta cut here more. All right. Now, those of you that have to cut your truss like I did, make sure that you got some support from this truss down to the main. I got I think they're 2x10s here going across. Make sure you got some support from here down to your ceiling from here and here to reinforce it. I already have them, thankfully, so I don't have to do it. But I do have to cut this a little more. So essentially that's what we have now. Got my hole dug out or cut out, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next.